Sessions 1 and 2 had covered the user registration walkthroughs for the checker and maker accounts. Once your checker and maker accounts have been successfully registered and approved by your RA, you are then able to go into the checker account to register additional GINs under your single FI profile. This is used in the case of where an RFI has multiple GINs under it and would like to register it under the same RFI user. So we will go back to the portal and we will start with the registration. To do this, now our checker and maker profiles have been approved successfully. So we will log back into our checker profile and continue with the multiple FI functionality and register additional GINs. Here we have logged in and we are at the home page where we can see the background to the FATCA and CRS regimes. We will navigate to the My Info page where we have a notification that says currently you are registered as a single GIN and you have the option to change to multiple GIN. By clicking on this, we can add additional GINs or trade license numbers, depending on whether this is a registration for a FATCA or a CRS entity. In the case of a FATCA and or CRS entity, we are able to add additional GINs here. So I will continue with the registration by adding a new GIN. Here it says data not found, which points to the fact that we have not previously used this GIN for registration purposes. So here I will then be able to enter the additional information about this new GIN entity, which will then result in the additional GIN being added under the single FI registration. You'll be required to fill in all the mandatory fields in order to move forward with the registration. Add the trade license number as well. Choose the relevant licensing authority. In this case, we're using a UAE entity to register. And I will choose the relevant regulatory authority for the GIN that I am currently registering. You are then required to declare the entity classification for FATCA and CRS purposes, where you are able to choose the type of financial institution as well. The GIN will be pre-populated and you are required to add in the relevant registration details in order to continue. In this case, I am doing a FATCA only registration, which means that my GIN is relevant for FATCA, and for CRS, I will be choosing a non-financial entity, active non-financial entity. So I will add this here. In the case where you want to add additional entities as well, more than one entity, for example, for a CRS only entity, you can then choose trade license number and add in your additional entities to the RFI registration. In this case, we are doing a CRS only entity where an entity may only have reporting obligations for CRS purposes, and for FATCA, it may be a non-financial entity, which is out of scope. Here, once again, I will add in the relevant details to complete my registration and choose the relevant authorities. For FATCA, I will be choosing non-financial entity So it is not a reporting financial institution. And for CRS, this entity is a custodial institution which has reporting obligations. Once I click save, the account will then be locked until the regulatory authorities approve the additional GINs that have been added. In the future, there is a planned update where once multiple GINs or additional GINs and trade license numbers are added under an RFI profile, the account will not be locked. At the moment, this will result in the locking of my account.